Is that a crab with a top hat and a monocle? That's where I draw the line. Come on, Master Chief. Let's get the out of here.
That's right, your favorite game is a mod of another game. If your favorite game is one of these that I'm about to talk about. Maybe others, but these for sure. The games on this list have made a name for themselves in and of their own right, but came originally from a game that already existed. So today I want to talk about some of those games and see what they've become from their humble beginnings as just a simple mod. So let's just get this out of the way. Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 have created some of your favorite games. You like CounterStrike, huh? That is a Half-Life 1 mod. And if you don't remember, it has obviously become its own thing, but way back in the day when Counter-Strike first became a thing, you could easily tell that it was just a mod of Half-Life. And you'll notice this in this cover art and several others, that it just has the Half-Life logo in it. So you can, yeah, it's Half-Life. I remember playing Counter-Strike 1.0 with my buddy back in the day and just feeling like, oh, this is so cool. It felt like, in a way, a standalone game, but also kind of felt like you were still playing Half-Life. There weren't aliens or anything like that, but you could tell with the models and stuff, you could tell like, okay, I'm definitely just playing something that used to be Half-Life. Now Counter-Strike is its own beast, with getting up to Counter-Strike 2 even, and it just looking nothing like what it did when it was coming from Half-Life as a mod. Just, it's become its own monster, and it's so cool to see video games get to this point. I mean, you just watch any like clip from an event of CSGO or Counter-Strike 2 now, I guess. It's just insane how much a game that was built off just a simple mod of Half-Life has come to where it is. Just arenas full of people pulling crates, and the amount of money I'm sure they make on this game, which is just absurd. And it's just made by some guys that were like, hey, let's make a deathmatch game through Half-Life. Another one built off the same engine as Half-Life is the Stanley Parable, which is completely different than Counter-Strike, but in the same idea, you can see how it kind of plays off those. So the actual Stanley Parable that you play is not a mod of Half-Life, but the original idea and creation of the game started as a Half-Life mod. You can also check out Gary's mod. That's a thing that's literally just about modding the game in all kinds of different weird ways, which I think is the best way to experience. If you want to just kind of see what it's like to mod with the Source engine, I believe it's called, you just use Gary's mod. I think it's free. I could be wrong. I'll double check that. Put the price tag up here for Gary's mod. Team Fortress is another mod. It came from Quake by two guys, and it was a mod in and of itself. And if you look at it originally, from the cover art, and then you look at where it went with Team Fortress 2, you can see such a big difference. And I think that's the point of this, is just kind of looking at where these games that started as mods originally have become, to the point where I think some people that just hop into these games may have no idea that these games started as mods. Team Fortress is one of those. And I think about it, it's like it came from a mod of Quake, which Quake in and of itself was just it's the foundation of shooting arena games. Created something like Team Fortress, and then without Team Fortress 2, we probably wouldn't have something like Overwatch, which is exactly the same way. They had that humor, that cartoonish style to them that makes them stand out. And I think to see this, it just came from a mod of Quake, is very impressive to see the growth of the game overall. Speaking of Blizzard and Overwatch, let's talk about Dota. Dota was built off the Warcraft 3 engine. I don't know if you've ever played the Warcraft games. I know everybody knows about World of Warcraft, or maybe Hearthstone or whatever, but if you haven't played the original Warcraft games, Warcraft 3, which is a real-time strategy game, that's what they built Dota off of. And I was looking for pictures of like Dota cover art, and it's very weird, and like almost you can tell that it was just an idea, and it wasn't until Dota 2 that it became its own thing. Which I think is funny if you've looked at any of the images of these games when they were just simply starting and were really just mods, you can see how much influence comes from the games they were built off of, only for when they fully fleshed themselves out and became kind of their own game, does it look completely different. Looking back at old Dota screens, I was like, oh wow, it's just the Warcraft 3 interface. The heroes have images from the Warcraft game. I think it's so cool to truly see a game like Dota and see where it came from. I think it's really neat. All right, let's talk about Zombies and DayZ, a game that I pretty sure is still in early access. I don't do my research. I just talk off my head. So let's put a picture up here of whether it's still in early access or not. Anyways, DayZ was a mod built off of Arma, which quite a few are, including another game that I'm going to talk about in a minute. DayZ is one of those survival zombie horror games that I think I've played a grand total of 5 minutes of. Not really my style of game, but it is cool to see. It became very popular, and I think it's still very popular to this day. But to think that it just started as a mod off of Arma is very cool. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. It was just an interesting entry into this list. Zombie survival games are a dime a dozen, and I would imagine that DayZ has something to do with that. All right, for the final one here, I'm going to skirt the line of what really technically was a mod of another game to get to this one, but I feel like it's important to talk about, and that's PUBG. PUBG, while technically not a mod, came from games like Arma and Quake 3 and stuff like that, and created what is now one of the most popular game genres of all, and that's the Battle Royale. Not my type of game, but people love it. So if you think, if it wasn't for Arma and Quake 3 and games like that, we wouldn't have had PUBG, and if we didn't have PUBG, we wouldn't have Fortnite, and if we didn't have Fortnite, we wouldn't have Apex Legends, and if we didn't have Apex Legends, we wouldn't have whatever the hell is next. So I think it's important to talk about this one, and how it's just, all these games that I've pointed out, and many, many other games, were just built off of the building blocks of the games before them. So I think it's very important to kind of think about that. Like I said earlier, I think a lot of people just don't know this. Like if you were to go, do you know how CounterStrike started? They go, oh, it's just a game. It's like, no, it started with this game about a guy and another guy that's creepy and the aliens that he had to fight, and they didn't end the story, and there's never going to be a Half-Life 3, but I digress. It started with that. Now you have arenas full of people watching people, play Counter-Strike, which I think is insane. So just remember that when, just maybe I did a little bit of research. I made sure that these were mods of other games. Usually I just talk off the top of my head. But these have been some games that started as mods and have become their own beast in and of themselves. So I hope you enjoyed watching. What's your favorite game that maybe started as a mod? Or what's your favorite mod? Maybe it's the Top Hat Crabs, or maybe it's the Macho Man Randy Savage Dragon, or adding new characters in a fighting game. Like, what's your favorite? Mods don't have to just be a brand new game. They can be anything. So what's your favorite mod? Anyways, thank you for watching. I always appreciate that you guys watch these videos. It takes a little bit more time to put these together than the gaming videos. So that's why I only do them once a week. But I hope you enjoyed. I love you. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.